Tonya, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm thrilled to be here with you and always excited to share my expertise with your audience.
No, I appreciate it. So, what I want to be able to discuss today, because I think you've done a great job of this, which is how do you monetize your message, right? So, a lot of people have, a lot of speakers, especially, they have a message, but they only have one mode of getting paid from it, which is talking. So, if they're not talking, and most of the time, if they're starting, they're talking for free, they don't know how to generate any revenue from that. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that and how you would go about doing it if you were an experienced speaker, an intermediate speaker, and an advanced speaker.
Awesome. Well, listen, one thing that I've learned is that every problem needs a solution. So speakers need to find out where the problem is in the industry that they are trying to impact, whether it's in schools, then you have to decide if it's what level, elementary, junior high, high school, who's having the problem. Is it the students or the teachers? Is it administration? Whatever industry it is that you are looking to really penetrate and leave your mark, leave your legacy on, the most important part of being able to monetize your expertise is finding the problem, not inventing a problem, not feeling like what you have to offer is the thing. You need to have conversations with individuals. You need to be open to hearing feedback and then figuring out inside of you what it is that you can do to bring a solution to a problem that I'm sure many people are having. If they've shared with you that they're having it, I bet you there's others that are having that problem also that have yet to even find someone that's willing to listen or design a solution to that problem. So again, you want to start with where's the problem? These are all conversations. And if you're a speaker, you like to talk to people and you can't find out how to solve people's problems until you start having conversations. Because I think what happens too is as experts, we ideate a lot. We ideate a lot where we can be seen, which stage can we be on. But the most impactful way to get on a stage and find yourself on other stages is having open conversations about the problems that people are really dealing with in each industry.
Okay. So it sounds like the bigger the problem, the larger the paycheck.
Absolutely. And more complex. And that's the thing. You also can't be afraid. This is fear keeps us sometimes from having some of those complex conversations, right? But you can't be afraid to dig in a little deeper. When you're just beginning, your surface level, right? And so maybe those checks aren't that big. But as you continue to speak and be seen on stages, you start having these conversations, especially when there's those follow up conversations. Once you get on stage, your next job is to follow up and see how you did. Find out what else would they have liked to hear about, right? If you gave takeaways, how did that work out for them? Are you checking back in with the people that you spoke with? And if you continue to have these conversations, you start recognizing, man, this rabbit hole goes a little deep. And again, you find yourself in a situation where you can use your expertise to help solve complex problems. So the simpler the problem, the less the check is going to be, right? But the more complex the problem is, and the more of your thought leadership that you can share with a staff, with a student body, with an executive team, you will find yourself making the kind of money that will allow for you to continue to do this with ease, with ease for a very long time.
How did you, what's your origin story? Like every superhero has an origin story, right? So, how did you solve this? How did you come to this realization?
Well, listen, I'm a habitual complainer, but I learned a long time ago from my grandfather, a very hard worker. Don't complain about a problem unless you're willing to jump in and help fix it. So I would become very cautious about what I complained about because I didn't want anybody asking me, "Will you come over here and do it?" So I would be very verbal about things and that I was passionate about, but that I knew that there were solutions out there that people were not implementing. So then my job wound up becoming, how do I, one, find the solution, and then two, become a part of the solution. So my speaking started at a young age. Once I realized I'm a gun violence survivor. So at the age of 5, I watched my mother and her boyfriend get unalived at a young age. And that messed me up, as a young person. So I spent my junior high school years really living kind of in shame. That's many of us live in shame with our past and what we don't know. We don't know what to do with these complex feelings inside of us. But I was lucky enough to go to a high school that had a lot of resources. So recognizing, how can I become a part of fixing even my own problems, right? Seeking out answers. How do we keep this from happening to other people? Finding out about legislation that could keep these things from happening, or how they're dealt with once they happen. Once I started getting more knowledgeable about these types of things, by the time I was in college, I was not only speaking up on them, but I was becoming a part of the solution. So I wound up being a senator at Cal State Northridge when I went there. And as I continued to matriculate through school and then early in my career, I just started to speak up on things that were important, not only to myself, but people in my community, most of the time because they had no idea that there were solutions out there. Most people think, this is my life, this is what I have to live with. And that's not the truth. You are not your past. You are not what happened to you when you were a child, when you had no control. You are a person that's building a life, building a legacy for yourself, and gets to make decisions for yourself. So as I continue to find out more, I just started to speak up and educate individuals, whether it was high schoolers, other government officials that really didn't recognize the voiceless in their own communities. And it just became a regular thing. And what happens is you start recognizing, wow, if I do the work, if I say the complex thing, if I participate in fixing problems, then people will not only invite you to the table, but then give you opportunities to lead.
No, I think that that's interesting because a lot of times we think that, um, a lot of times, I should say this. When I speak with speakers, they're always saying, well, I want to get paid to talk, right? And I'm like, but there's consulting, there's workshops you can lead. There's so many other ways to use that voice to solve, to go even more in depth in the problem, right? So, um, if we were to think of speaking kind of like layers of an orange or an onion, where the outside layer is the topic that you talk about, then you got like the 20-minute TED talk, then you got the 4-hour workshop, and then you got the 3-month consulting gig, then you got the 6-month research project that they're going to hire you to. I mean, there's so many different, the
So
deeper
many
you
different
get,
layers.
yeah, it's so many different layers. How does a person build the confidence and the competence to be able to go to those different layers? Because at the beginning, it is kind of surface level. I'm a speaker. That's where it starts. And then the more they start doing it, they don't call themselves speakers anymore. Those titles start changing because they want to let people know, I'm not just here. I'm this thing. And so how does that metamorphosis take place?
You start small. You start small because intimacy is a way for you to really gauge where you are with your story, gauge where you are with your solution, gauge where you are with your ability to elevate your voice and your message, right? Once you have these smaller conversations, so let's say if you're talking about business or early childhood development, you're at like PTA meetings and Chamber of Commerce meetings, or even just small meetings for smaller companies speaking about your expertise. Once you see how that resonates, or fix what might not be resonating, right? With that feedback, being able to understand where you might be missing or where you're doing well, then you elevate that. Okay, maybe it was a city's chamber. Now let's take it up a notch. Let's go to a county. Let's take it up another notch. Let's do a state event. Let's see how that resonates. And your call to actions and your your feedback forms, that always gives you opportunity to see, am I doing this right? Am I missing something? Or man, I'm good. I need to impact more people with this message. It really makes a difference how you feel about it, because stepping up to that next level when you're not ready and you're not confident will it will take you backwards. So you really have to baby step your way for a minute. That doesn't mean give it away for free. It means take steps forward gradually until you're ready to take the leap to the next level. But you have to be able to start small and intimate. And as you start feeling more confident and mastering your message and adding more complex elements to it, you continue to take it up, because you're realizing the need of the audience that you are actually tailoring your message to. So you have to be a little intuitive, and you have to have a little situational awareness to say, they like that, or I need to go fine tune this. And once you do that, it's time to take it up a notch.
Yeah,
And
I
don't be
think
afraid of success. That's the other piece. I think a lot of people become afraid of what that next level looks like. Don't be. You got it, because you worked your way up to it. It's not like someone just gave it to you, you know?
yeah, I think the cool thing about being an entrepreneur is that we get to determine the price of our products, right? So if I said, "Hey, Tanya, would you like a car?" The first thing you're gonna say is, "What kind?" Because the brand of the car associates
Yes.
a certain price with it. So if you say it's a used car, well, we know, okay, that should be cheaper than the new version, right? And it's a sports car, well, that's going to be a little more expensive than the minivan, right? And you got all of these different ways of gauging price, and based on your brand, your personal brand, you're able to associate a price with what you do for your audience. One of the things that I try to remind myself is that money isn't the only form of payment, right? Sometimes I will take a gig that I don't get paid for up front in money, but I get paid in referrals when I
Yes.
get to the gig, right? So I would love to go speak in a room in an audience that can refer me to more people. I'll do that for free because I didn't get paid that day, but I got paid down the road, right? So can you talk a little bit about how you monetize things, and it doesn't always have to be in the form of a cash transaction up front?
The funny thing is, when you're talking about the car and the price of the car, also the features that come with the car, right? The
Mm-hmm.
more expensive the car is, more likely more features it's going to come with. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes those features might be something you're not ready for. Have get into a car, you're not comfortable with tech, or you've had a car, but now you have this big van or truck and you're not comfortable yet. So part of that is the comfort level. So you do have to get to a place to where you are even comfortable with knowing that you can get paid a lot, but taking an opportunity that your payment might be in a different form. That's a confidence in yourself, saying that I have something that's valuable inside of me, and not getting a monetary payment would not make you feel like you're not worth it. And again, let's look at other things that you can do. So, like we've talked about referrals, but I do things like workbooks for with my speaking engagement. Why is that? One thing we know is sometimes when we get to talk and people, they have great ideas and they get inspired, and then they go back to their office and they can't remember anything that you talked about specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, maybe I'm not getting payment, but I know with these workbooks that I give out to all of my participants, they're going to remember me. One, they're going to remember the information that I shared, right? And they're also going to have my contact information out there. So they are your PR. These are the people that are going to be talking about you and telling people about what they learn, or implementing something that becomes great for their company, and then get to tell people where they got that from. Public relations is something that really does not get the shine that it deserves. I think the term gets thrown around a lot, but not really understanding what it means. And for those of you that are unsure, he was talking about branding earlier, which I think is great. It's what people think about you when you're not in the room, what they say about you when you're not in the room, how they feel about you. Like Pepsi or Coke, Coke and a smile. For those of us that have heard that for years, it doesn't matter if they never do any more advertising. It's what resonates with us when we hear that. So, understanding what you leave behind and how you resonate with people when your name comes up, that is a great opportunity if you know that the information that you are putting out is priceless. And then you do have other things. There's the trinkets and the, like I said, the workbook and things of that nature, but it's really leaving an impact on people and making sure that they know that you are someone that they can continue to come back to for more information or for follow up. That in itself is invaluable, and it will take you, your business, and your speaking career so much further.
So, what are some of the products and services that you offer outside of uh, just speaking, just showing up to speak? How did you monetize your message?
So
What
we
was
go
your
from
way of doing it?
monetizing. We also have media training. So then it becomes, how can you teach us individually how to do these things? There's group trainings. There's corporate trainings for those that are trying to elevate their business. But again, it comes down to, how do you package up what it is that you know will be a solution for an industry or a sector of an industry? What do you know? Who have you talked to where you can put those things together? We have speaking opportunities at schools. It looks different from elementary school and junior high school to the high school and the college. So at universities, I'll go speak. And then it's, can you come work with our sorority houses on safety measures? Can you come work with our health department on survival after an assault? And then it becomes a series of talks. There are so many different ways. And I also have worked with police departments. And since they're getting rid of DEI now, and even though they won't use the word DEI, it really means bringing diverse perspectives into an industry. So then you can package that up. That everything that's included in your expertise can be packaged in a way that allows for you to continuously get paid even after that speaking engagement happens. I do PSAs for nonprofit organizations. And those can be packaged out for a year because these organizations, work really hard all year long to be able to provide information that help you want to donate, that will put together opportunities to be out in public and out in the community. But that becomes a part of, that's not something that was with me when I first started. It was just, let me go speak on my experience. Let me talk about what happened and how I recovered. Then it becomes, how can I help others? Then it's, how can I help this department help others? So finding different avenues where your voice is needed and being able to put sometimes tangible things like, again, the workbooks, workshops, all of those things matter when you are dealing with organizations and businesses that are trying to find not just right now solutions, but long-term solutions for their staff, for their communities. It all matters.
So, I get this question all the time when it's a new speaker and they've bought a speaking course or they've talked to someone and they says, "You need to tell your story," right? And they have this story that may involve some trauma or something of that sort. And it's like, why would someone pay to hear this traumatic story? Now, I'm the I'm the good guy in the room. I'm not the bad guy. Because the good guy tells you the truth, maybe when you don't want to hear it, but he's not trying to hurt you. I'm just trying to understand. So I know your story, and I think you've done a great job of becoming an advocate versus because you talk about going in and teaching about safety and all these other things instead of just saying, well, this happened to me and I just want to keep telling people that this happened to me. How did you make that transition, and what's the value of becoming an advocate or a thought leader in the space versus just repeating the trauma?
I think one of the most powerful things that happened once I wrote my book about my story, one is realizing there's a level of bravery, obviously, that goes along with being transparent about what you've been
Mhm.
through, because there's shame that's always affiliated with that. However, If you have been able to survive whatever it
Mhm.
is, that piece of the story is winds up being the most important. The
Yep.
drama and trauma is not the most important. The methods to survive, the methods to overcome, the methods to package up how you move into a level of success beyond that is what people are going to pay for,
Mhm.
because we all have a story. Okay, I'm
Exactly.
lying. I had a client one time. I was like, I don't have a story. I was like, I can't help you. I don't know what to do. He had a wonderful life. And I was like, I ain't trying to shame you or nothing, sir. But listen, I don't know what to tell you. No, I mean, he was a great guy. He was funny. I'm like, well, I guess you could be a stand up comedian. I don't know. I digress. But 90% of America has something that has happened in their life that has impacted who they have become. Once we get rid of the shame that, the shame of what happened, how you got to where you are now, your recovery, your resilience, that's what you're selling. You're selling your resilience. You're selling steps to success. You're selling your sweat equity that you put into this life that you built. And there are people in this world that do not know how to do that. They are
Gotcha.
habitually stuck. So
So
being
you
able to package up your steps to resilience becomes what they are buying from you, especially while you're being authentic and transparent about that struggle.
no, that's killer because I think the framework is what makes it tangible. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So I hear someone's story, and even though I may not have gone through the same situation, that doesn't mean that there isn't a lesson for me to learn out of it. But I can't expect the speaker can't expect me to be able to apply it. I may not get the details out of it. So they got to break it down for me to say, here's the 4 steps or here's the framework that you use to overcome something like this. Because I may not be intelligent enough. Me, Ron, I'm like, I didn't even hear that part. I was checking my messages when she said that. But that's what happens. Nobody's putting their phone in their pocket at a speech. We're listening, but we get somebody whisper something to us. We get a text message. We take a drink of our Pepsi or whatever, and we miss little details, but then we catch the recap of this is the 5 step framework or whatever. Um, can you? I just wanted to reiterate that because that's where the money is, right? The money is in the person who has the 7 habits of highly effective people, the start with why, all of these frameworks that we know, how to win friends and influence people. Like I just imagine how lonely was that guy that he had to write a book about it. He was like, look, I got to figure this out. Like,
He's like,
I got to get a
let me write
formula.
this
Don't
down and see
nobody
if this
like me.
works.
Yeah, he
What is
like,
going
I'm gonna go
on
up to
right
a bunch
now?
of people and say, say something. Okay, remember their name. Their name is important, right? And he's just like doing stuff, right? But that's how it starts, right?
Yep.
And then you go on a podcast to test it and to see how people respond to your stuff on that
Yeah.
podcast. And then you get a few questions. The host kind of fights back with you, and then you take it to a small association or a small group gig. Test it out with some of your friends.
Yep.
You don't just come up with this framework and go straight to the stage.
Right. The big
That
stage.
probably, yeah, that's probably not. Even comedians like Chris Rock and
They
you know,
test it.
yeah, they tested in a small little comedy club
They might
before
even
they get
test it
up
on their
there.
social media real quick. Let me see what the feedback gonna be. Then I can delete it if it
What
didn't work.
100%, right? So I like that. I think that was what I was missing because I'm like, dude, I hear these sad stories, but I'm like, all right, what's the sunny side of this mountain? Because this is. But if you give me the 4 steps on how to get out of this trough of disaster, I mean, it's a better speech. you know,
Help a
you
brother
know.
out.
Yeah, I mean, because it's tough. We're in the audience and we're listening, and it's really important because you want people pay you for the framework. Your story is the evidence that the framework works,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
So what am I missing? I'm in the audience now. I've listened to us for 25 minutes talk about how to monetize the message and how to find monetizable parts of the message. What question did I not ask?
How do you lead your way to success? And I use my story to help people lead their way to success. Lead with two L's. Look the part, leverage your experience, elevate your voice. That does not mean yelling. It's how you say things, who you're saying them to, right? Acknowledge the problem. Most of the time, people have a really hard time. They meet to meet, they go around in circles because they don't want to actually identify the problem. And then you deliver results. How are you delivering results? Whether it's for an organization or yourself, get it done. No excuses, get it done. If you use those 5 steps, you will find success no matter what challenge you face. Look the part. You have to be comfortable. You have to be comfortable in who you are and how you step in a room. Yes, it matters. It does. Leverage your experience. We all have experiences in life where we don't always understand that what you've gone through actually gives you lived experience. People do not equate lived experience sometimes to how you are qualified to do a certain thing. Sometimes you need someone else to talk to or talk you through that. That's the great thing about PR. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm in public relations, and it is everything to me because we help people see what is great about something else or even themselves. Certain groups of people, particularly us, are very humble and can't even always acknowledge the greatness that we've been able to accomplish throughout all these obstacles. So again, those 5 things, once you've mastered those and you are not afraid to elevate your voice, again, it's not about yelling, but sticking your chest out and knowing that what you are talking about is honest, it's real, it's proven, and stop being so afraid to be accomplished. You deserve what it is that you are working hard for. So lead your way to success. And when you do that and you see that it works, you continue to do that. You elevate the stages you're on. Your voice might even get a little louder. Your chest starts sticking out a little stronger. And people feel that. They feel the confidence in what you are saying. And it allows for them to have no problem referring you to the next person, talking about what they heard from you that changed their life or elevated their business. Remember, your personal brand is really about the impression that you leave on people, how they think about you. It's like Bath and Body Works. When you go in a mall, you can go in a new mall and you'd be like, I know they're around here somewhere. It's a smell. It is a smell. No one else has that, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Come through. What
They just put out
do
so
you want
much.
people to think about you, or what do you want to resonate when they hear your name? Lead your way to success.
No, that's funny. I'm sorry. I had a flashback
I bet you
to,
did.
to middle school when Bath and Body Works first came out. They had that little lotion, and if you put the girl put this much on, you can smell her around the
Smeller,
corner. Like,
mile
what
away.
the
They are
kiwi
that is their
strawberry? They
brand.
had
Their brand is you gonna smell me, okay? You gonna smell me. You gonna know. You gonna know our products. I was like,
that
okay,
is so funny.
this is
Yeah, I mean
crazy.
that took me back 30 years. I'm like, holy crap! Like I remember, and
Come
like the
on.
person's name came to mind who used to wear that stuff, and I'm like, oh. Okay,
Their brand is
that's
strong. I'm trying to tell
yeah. I
you.
mean, but what do they say? That's interesting because like all of those memories came back just from me remembering an odor, and they say 70% of a dog's memory is related to his scent,
Smell.
to him smelling. So yeah, maybe I'm a Rottweiler or something because I totally thought back to some crazy stuff. Okay, all right. So no, this has been good. I think that, and I'm glad that you talked about monetization from a perspective that didn't include, hey, here's what this should cost, here's what that should cost. The value of what you do is really what this is about. This is really finding value in your message and exchanging it for referrals or money or something of that sort, but finding value in what you do and different ways to deliver it. And that's what I take away from this. I'm going to use that a lot because, um, yeah, I'm like the frameworks. Like, what are they missing? I've always kind of struggled with that. Like, this person has a really passionate story, but they left me down in this dump,
Right. Now I got to
and
go
I
dig
don't want to hear
myself
them
out.
again. Yeah, I
No.
don't want to hear them again.
Mm-mm.
you
No.
know.
We need a
So, but
win. Show me how to win. So, however you package it up, at the end of the day, it's show me how to win. People want you to show them how to win. Win the day, win the business, win the friendship, win the relationship. You might be doing relationship talks. How do they win? That is what you are packaging. That is priceless. So, if your message is going to save me a divorce, man, let me tell you how much I'm about to pay.
no,
Come
that makes
on.
sense. Oh yeah, I mean, price and cost are two different things.
They are.
You know, and if you can, yeah, that's incredible. Well, Tonya, I appreciate you taking this time. I will be using your double LEAD framework, and hopefully everyone else will be using it too as they lead to better pricing, better value, and
Amen.
better monetization of their messages. Thank you.
Better. I like it. Well, thank you for your
Cool.
time, you guys. Have a great one, and we'll talk soon.
Wait. Before you go, no, before you go, are you an introvert or extrovert?
Oh, I'm an introverted extrovert.
Okay, what does that mean? We got overtime.
I
We
don't
got
really
3 minutes to
like
talk about
I don't
this.
even really like being around people, but I'm really good at it, so I have to do it. It's the Taurus in me. Like I really just want to be by myself, but I'm so good at being an extrovert. Like I just have to do it. I just have to do it.
So you you like to help people. Is that the
I
best way to say it?
love to help people. Listen, what I wrote, one of the things that I wrote about in my book is how there are so many um, angels on earth. No matter what bad happens in this world, there is always someone to lift you up. So I know that feeling. I have felt that and I have been gifted that blessing. So the opportunity to give that, whether it's just something you say or do and you give of yourself, it doesn't necessarily have to be monetary. That is priceless. And it is something, again, that resonates with people even when you are not in the room.
Well, that's a big deal. No,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You know, get out there and
It,
help
it
some people,
matters
even
how
if you're an introvert.
it matters who we are as people. I think that is undervalued. Who are you as a person? Even in the most conflictual times, like now, politics is just, it brings out the worst in people. How you treat people and what you leave behind as your legacy matters. It just matters.
I agree. Well, thank you for putting a stamp on that. That no, I think it's important. So, all right.
Absolutely. Take it easy.